Shabbat Shalom, Israel, giving our praise to the Most High God and the Son Yahweh Shah with a battle axe of the Most High, coming back to you on the first work Friday. You know, my Officer Roger Talk, man. Hope y'all just had a good, productive week. You know, per usual, they've been wearing out the Saints, man. You know, we got Capt tired, got officers tired, got soldiers tired, man. I know sisters, y'all gonna be tired too, man. But even like how we talking about in one, you know, about like if brothers is going through something, feel free to call, man. I mean, brothers will always and sisters will always uplift each other, man. Cause like we said, we all we got, man. So like I said, I hope y'all just steady enduring, man. You know, getting y'all spirits right because we do know that the Feast of Purim, the destruction of Nicanor is coming up. We'll be celebrating those things on probably Sunday or Monday evening. So Bruce and sisters want to come out. There's been on the group chat. So like just been talking to us on on a day-to-day basis or whatever the case may be. Feel free to reach out, man. We give y'all that information. Uh, Tonight's title will be, "Are you fully committed to the Most High God?" Or fully committed to the Most High? Because sometimes we got to tend to ask ourselves these questions. We know on like a smaller scale, we all know that what we was getting ourselves into when it came down to being in this truth. But even then, like once you start, learning the precepts and having a bigger role, whether it's like being promoted or if you're a good cleaner, if you're a good cooker, barbecue, or whatever the case may be, good at cars. Like, but as time progresses, we can't forget the fact that hey, we still in this truth and we still have to humble ourselves, to the Most High God, man. And try to remind ourselves to be committed to the Lord, man, because we know the ways of the world is just getting worse and worse. We know, hey, got the YNs right as we speak. They out there acting damn fool, but that's something that the Lord told us about long ago, man. As far as like, the heathens, oppressing us on a day-to-day basis, all these different type of things, man. It get old, but sometimes it gets vexing, or it has you vexing the spirit, man. Where you be like, man, forget this. Or you be like, man, I'm tired. Yeah, we gonna be tired, but hey, you tired, hey, read these precepts. It's gonna uplift you and give you some type of energy. Now, I know 5 hour energy, but eternal energy, man. But shalom, Sister Mary Houston, how you doing? How you and the family doing? But without further ado, the first precept we're gonna get is Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 3. Proverbs 16 and 3. 1 second, y'all. The audio's good. The audio's good, sis. It ain't lagging or nothing. Con. All praise. And con, sis. All praise. Glad to hear that they holding it down. That y'all holding it down, man. Down there in Houston. Eventually we're gonna make another trip down there, man. We got to come visit y'all. Hey, tell the grandchildren, hey, we're gonna whoop them in football again, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna see if I can get his name. I know he's competitive though, man. Forgive me on that, but I keep trying to manhandle him, man. So I had to put the grown man strength on him. Hey, I'm small in stature like David, but hey, I had to put you on your pockets. I will, man. I think is that the one the light skin, the tall light skin kind of lanky one. I think that is him. I'll praise, brother. Yeah, man. We got to come up with the funds and all that, man. But eventually we gonna try to get back to hitting these roads, man. I know we got California we gotta go to. Once they get these things situated. I know Bruce probably try to go back to Atlanta. Who else? Like Louisiana. But yeah, there's a couple of places we gonna try to hear if we ain't already hear them. We'll try to do that, man, because we need it. Cause we're it gotta reach the four corners of the earth, man. If it's possible, we go to Russia or something. you know, anywhere the Lord need us to go, man. Because that's the same way how the disciples was. The Lord sent them two and two, and I'm talking about they was, traveling, man. They even says that in the book of Sirach, talking about a traveling man. Kind of, I know the number should be on there. Probably can hit up, captains on that thing, man. Probably could ship some out to you. We'll figure something out, man. We know how that go. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, sis. How you doing? But the first precept I said was Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. And it's not quitting, sis. No, it's the towel. But him too, he can get the work too. But this the book of Proverbs chapter dyslexia 16 and verse 3. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Read that again. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. So when we always committing ourselves to the Lord, man, our thoughts and our mindset, it's always gonna be, established. It's gonna have that sturdy foundation, man. That's what the Lord wants. He always committed to us, so He wants that in return, man. Whether it's doing the work, going out to the highways and byways, of course, keeping the law, because that is the works. Because a lot of our Christian people, they tend to talk about faith, but they always like quoting that, in James, talking about faith without works is dead. Y'all say that wholeheartedly, man, but then when it come down to y'all actually putting works into this thing, y'all don't do it, man. So y'all just math lip service, man. But it says, and thy thoughts shall be established, man. So you won't be easily, intrigued by the ways of this world, man. You won't be easily intrigued by, whether like the next, biggest gangster is, or the next, even like with the football stuff. We understand that's not a custom. Not saying not to be over righteous or anything like that, but you just won't too much have a care for it, man, because you already know that all these things is set up. They already got who they want to win the Super Bowl. They already got who they want to win, I forgot what the World Series. Even in basketball and all these different type of things. But we ain't gonna be caught up in them, man, because we understand the Most High God's works is always gonna come, before everything. Just like I say, Revelation chapter 2 and verse 5. But going on to the next precept, we're gonna get the Sirach chapter 6 and verse 37. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 37. Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandment. He shall establish thine heart, and give thee wisdom at thine own desire. Because, that's a direct precept to that. Of course, with the Joshua 1 and 8, that's Sirach 39 and 1, and so on and so forth, man. We got these different precepts that's basically saying the same thing, like how Captain Benaniyah always bring out. Sometimes they just be saying it in reverse, man. But nevertheless, same meaning. I'm going to read that again, though. Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually. And it say meditate sometimes, or, meditate 3 days out of the week. It said always meditate on these things. Whenever you be having your conversations and stuff, make sure that, they revolve around the Bible. Now, of course, you have to use wisdom. Have to be wise as a serpent, harmless. Wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. But when it comes down to like somebody, talking about anything, just have in the back of your head, if you can't talk about the Bible, in that at that point in time, always be meditating on them precepts. It says, meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish his throne, he shall establish thy throne, Shalakia. Or Shalaki, he shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thine own desire. So, hey, he gonna have your mind, established, man, because we know that's what the heart is going to, and he's gonna give us wisdom in due season, man, or at thine own desire. So just like how with King Solomon, he prayed for that thing, and the Lord gave him that thing, man. You know, and that's something we always, just got to remember. Pray for the things that's gonna be beneficial to you, man. That's gonna be sufficient for you. Because matter of fact, we can go ahead and get that. Yeah, Christ even said it out his own mouth that his grace was sufficient for us, man. And that gives us every reason or another reason why we should be committed unto him. Second Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 9. This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 9. He said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. So even this is like a pick me up scripture, man. Something we always got to meditate on. That's why he said meditate on his commandments, because throughout this whole Bible is gonna give you comfort, man, and commandments behind it. So reading it again, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. It's Christ speaking, because we know that's the red letters. It's for my strength is made perfect in weakness. So hey, anytime we going through and we all down and out, and we had these trials and tribulations, and these curses whooping up on us, he said, hey, I'm made perfect, man. So in your time of weakness, just lean up on me. Hey, like he got many titles. He's cornerstone. Hey, he's the chief, what you say, chief cornerstone. He's that rock, where he's that comforter, that refuge, and so on and so forth. It said, most gladly, therefore will I rather glory in my infirmities. Because then it goes back into Paul, speaking on these things. We understand Paul went through a lot, man. When he said he was stoned twice, stoned a couple times. Don't get me wrong on it. But then he was saying he suffered shipwreck. Then he said he suffered shipwreck twice. He was stoned. He was persecuted, thrown in jail. Hey, all manner of things that was going on with him. But yet Paul kept on, pushing. Because beforehand, Paul wasn't always committed, 100% to the Lord. Like he thought he was doing, the works of the Lord in that aspect. But no, you ain't supposed to be, raising your hand against the anointed. The Lord's anointed, that is. And once he got understanding, he stopped doing that thing, man. Exactly. It do take a Saul to make a power, man. And so, hey, he did that thing, man. That's why Paul was one of the mightiest one of the mightiest brothers out there to do the work, man. But even with what he said, Captain Yahri, he said, after you love God, coming with the two greatest commandments. Because you do understand that, hey, it was more than two commandments, man. That's why I said on these two hang all the law. Not just saying it was two, man. We'll talk about it in a minute. But it says, thank you, Yahweh Nazareth, hallelujah. Keep your father's business. Brother Khan, all praises, all praises. But read it on. It said, most gladly, therefore will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. So Paul, he was, setting that thing in stone, man. He letting us know that, hey, take pleasure in these infirmities, man. Because yeah, they hurt. But we already know the wise saying. We know what Betty Wright, no pain, no gain. That's a real situation. And hey, no pain, no gain. The Lord ain't say this truth was gonna be easy, man. That's why we have to, always, commit ourselves into these law, statutes, and commandments. It says, define what love is. It's a precept that we looking for. He asked the question, is you answer. It says, not under the law, under grace. But what does grace do for us? What is grace doing? Don't grace, show us something or teach us something? We need precepts, man. We ain't finna just, listen to words, man. We need precepts on these things. Con, not. We waiting on you. He asking the questions here, man. But reading on, it says that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Because hey, the power of Christ, when it's resting upon you, man, you cannot be touched, man. Like, really, that thing just make you just want to go harder for the truth. Especially when the Lord just have His hand upon you. Right, something about you just get the thing about you like, damn, what do you see in me, Lord? But then, hey, you see, Lord see something that we don't see in ourselves, man. It says grace is a gift worth apprehending. That's not a precept, brother. The first time love was used is when Abram was about to sacrifice his son. That's not. I mean, that talks about the history, but that's still not a precept on defining what love is. It's like how Captain Yahri said, "Love is sacrifice. I sacrifice my wants." Yeah, man, we want precepts. It can be in the Old Testament. It can be in the New Testament, man. We know that it got a definition, just like how every last one of these other words in the Bible that y'all look over. You know, again, that's a definition. But it gives all these other words. Give a definition of what it means, man. If we give you that, He is the Word made flesh, but that's not a precept. If you read it all, you'll know a precept then, man. Because Christ said it. Because even with you using it, Christ gave you, the definition of what love was. But reading on, it says that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities. So, hey, even Paul he reiterated that thing. He said, therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, man. Just like how with the Most High God, He took pleasure in, Christ, being that ultimate sacrifice for us, man. Because He knew it wasn't all for naught. But that's how much love the Lord had for us. But in reproaches, so anytime we getting corrected, because we understand the difference between judgments and corrections. Corrections is just, us serving at this captivity. So when those things come upon you, hey, you got to take it on the chin. But then judgment is for you doing some type of sin, and the Lord just got to go back and get you for that thing. It's like Captain Yahri had said, a couple Sabbaths ago. Time you rolling 60, you rolling 80 on the freeway, but then you have to knock it down to 60, man. That's a true statement because you be thinking, you be like, damn, the Lord ain't even giving for that yet. Say, man, that's a true statement, man, because I still do that to this day, man. You be like, hold on, man, let me slow this mud down for the Lord, blow out my tire or something. Because, the Lord understand that in certain aspects that you ain't always going to, have it together per se. Just man is going to fall 7 times. So whether it's, cussing your brother out, losing patience, because all those different type of things is, having the fruits of the spirit. And if you ain't using those things, hey, you kind of, getting more so on the fleshly side of those aspects. Then your emotions, overtake it in that aspect, man. But, that's something where we all have to, continue to, grow from, man. Just grow to have these patience and these, being long suffering. Because there's a period of time where you didn't get it. And hey, the Lord was long suffering with you. So yeah, we got to show that same due diligence. But reading on, therefore I take pleasure in infirmities and reproaches and necessities. So even the things that we have, says I like your art wall. Man, this this the house, man. I mean, hey, they did I guess a good job on it. Appreciate it. But anyways, even in it said the necessity. So like even the little things that we have, and like we may not have a lot of food in the house, may not have a lot of water, may not have a lot of clothes. car may not be worth a damn or whatever the case may be, but still we're gonna take pleasures in those things and we're gonna keep on, pushing and use it for what it is. Cause hey, the Lord at any given time, hey, He can give you more. He can always give you some type of increase. But those things ain't gonna get you into the kingdom. Those are the Don't get me wrong, those are the chief things in life. But hey, also on the flip side, like the more important necessities is these commandments. We're gonna use these commandments and we're gonna, push this truth. It says what we chatting about. Basically talking about power, man, and taking pleasures in our infirmities as we go through this captivity, man. But reading on, it says in persecutions. So when we persecuted for Christ's name's sake, man, whether it be like these coon Negroes that be at your jobs, whether it be, these heathen nations, not giving a damn about us, whether if we thrown in jail for, for this truth, we gonna take pleasure in those things, man. Reading on, in distresses for Christ's sake. That's all we doing it for, man. We doing it for Christ's sake because don't think the thing is in vain, man. Don't think it's just all for naught. This thing has some type of meaning behind it. And it has a great reward behind it, man. That's the kingdom of heaven. But reading on. For when I am weak, then am I strong. Because in this flesh, we're going to be weak, man. But when we in the spirit, hey, we strong, man. And untouchable, Shalaki. Because you got to think about it. Like every heathen nation that ever put their hand up against us, man, the Lord always had to make an example of them. So same way with America. This place is going to have to be made a public example, man. That thing is going to be a worldwide example. The old great America, that the one that you thought that couldn't be touched, it's going to be touched, man. When Christ come back and he had these angels, had 144,000, man. Hey, he going to bring this world back into submission, man. Thus said the Most High God. But reading on. Well, next precept, I'm going to get Psalms chapter 125 and verse 1. It's the book of Psalms chapter 125 and verse 1. They that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. Read that again. They that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, because we know that Israel or Jerusalem is, that mount. Because we understand, people think it's just an actual mountain, but now, in certain contexts, it's talking about, the governments or like different nations of people, man. But reading on, which cannot be removed, because hey, if you Mount Zion, if you the children of Israel, and you doing the things that the Lord told you to do, you can't be removed, man. It says, but abide it forever. Because that's going to be that eternal life. We're going to be that head nation in charge. But reading on. As the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so the Lord is round about his people from hence even forever. Because even on that aspect, those mountains, you've broken one law, you've broken them all. But do you understand what laws we're supposed to be doing? Because we understand that the law of sin and death no longer applies, and the law of sacrifice no longer applies. But it's still the other sectors of laws that we still have to commit. Like prime example, ceremonial laws, the feast days that we're keeping. That's what that's going into. The civil laws on how we conduct the matter. The moral laws on how you treat a brother, your sister, man, your neighbors, the children of Israel, not everybody. And then going into the dietary laws, the things that you can and can't eat. So you got to show me, because even Christ said, think not, meaning don't even think on this thing that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. So you got to deal with that, man. Stop trying to come in here and, cause confusion and thinking somebody's going to fall for that. Because you still ain't, now you just started pulling precepts, but you ain't pulling no precepts that's going to justify or, prove that we ain't got to keep the law. Because, okay, you telling me to read Romans chapter 13 and verse 8, Matthew 22 and 36, but you read Romans chapter 7 and verse 1 and tell me what that say. But Reading on. As the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so the Lord is round about his people from henceforth, even forever. So even like with the mountains, how he said, how in the spiritual aspect of it, or like the other meaning of the precept going into these heathen nations, they gonna be round about us. But hey, they gonna be round about us, coming to us, giving everything that they have, like the best of their best goods, giving it to us, man, because the Lord's gonna make it that way, because we're gonna be that head nation in charge. But reading on, for the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous. Read that again. For the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous. Because if you're a wicked Israelite, our brothers and sisters that don't know that they Israelites and they don't care to know that they the Most High God's chosen people, hey, you ain't gonna have that lot, man. Because it is two lots, like I say in Second Ezra. One for the righteous and one for the heathen nations, man. And, if you ain't keeping these commandments, you'll be an Israelite right along with them heathen nations, But judgment's gonna start with the house of Israel. So therefore, hey, you're gonna be in the lake of fire, and then whatever heathen nations the Lord decide to put in the lake of fire, hey, he gonna have them in there with y'all. But then on the flip side, he gonna have these other heathen nations, building our kingdom up. But then after all that, hey, the Lord gonna burn Esau off the face of the planet, man, which is the so-called white man today, man. But reading on, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity, because hey, that's the whole matter of it. It says, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity. So if you put your hands towards sin, and hey, you ain't got a chance ahead of making it to the kingdom, man. It says, do good, O Lord, unto those that be good, and to them that are upright in their hearts. As for such as turn aside unto their crooked ways, the Lord shall lead them forth, with the workers of iniquity, but peace shall be upon Israel. So even like I said, those that's walking in the crooked ways, hey, know that they ain't finna have the same type of salvation and righteous rewards that you have for doing the things that I said. That's what we saying. That's what the curse of the law is going to, the law of sin and death, man. Because prime example, like say if you was a married man, or you was messing with a married woman, or if you was a woman was messing with a married man, 2 or 3 witnesses, you was out of there for committing adultery. And then like even like with say if you was dealing in homosexuality, 2 or 3 witnesses, you was out of there. But now you have a chance, of repenting, and because the Lord had that grace upon you, now yeah, you can repent of that thing and come back to Him. But it still doesn't give you no license to sin, man. Because hey, just know that grace is measured. So that grace ain't always gonna forever be there. It says even on your best days, your righteousness is as filthy rags. True enough. But hey, the Lord's gonna have mercy on whom He have mercy on. It says, for whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. Going into the sacrificial law and the law of sin and death once again. That's what he mean when he said the whole law. But matter of fact, we go ahead and entertain it real quick. We get back to the class, y'all. This is the book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 11. For the grace of God that bringeth salvation had appeared unto all men, all men of Israel, because we were scattered to the four corners of the earth, teaching us that, or we could just say teaching us. What is grace teaching us? Come on, Simon. What is grace teaching us? I know you keep throwing this word around, but hey, We're gonna get the definitions of these things, man. Grace is teaching us what it's teaching. We'll read it on that. Teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. So what makes us righteous? What makes us sober? If you ain't lusting, then what are you doing? If you live in, if you denying ungodliness, then what are you doing? You're keeping the laws, man. Because, matter of fact, let's get what righteousness is, man. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, and verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he commanded us. That's what makes a man righteous, man. If he's keeping the commandments. But you don't want to go to Romans chapter 6, man. Because that's gonna cut you even more. Because even verse 1, the book of Romans chapter 6 and verse 1, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Because we're going to stop right there before we even go back to that. What is sin according to the Bible? Simon, I need a precept. What is sin according to the Bible? He said, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Meaning, shall we go ahead and do whatever we want to do just because we have grace? Let's read on. God forbid, meaning hell no. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Because even when you jump down to verse 23, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Yahweh our Lord. Now I'm going to show you what sin is. This is the book of 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. Whosoever committed sin transgressed also the law. What's another word for transgression or transgress it? Breaking. So whosoever committed sin, break it or transgress it also the law. For sin is the breaking or the transgression of the law. So if you sin and then you're breaking the law, therefore that means we have to keep the commandments or the law in order to make it to the kingdom of heaven, just like how Christ said in Matthew chapter 16, verse 19, or 19 to 16, this lecture. This is the book of Matthew chapter 19 and verse 16. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good things shall I do that I may have eternal life? Because just like how you were just saying in what you said, what's that, Romans chapter 6. Reading on, it says, what good things shall I have that I may have eternal life, Shalaki. And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? This is Christ speaking. There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, thou wilt enter into the to salvation, or going into the kingdom. Keep the commandments. Keep the commandments. That's what Christ said. That's how he said. That's how you get the eternal life, man. If thou will enter into life, keep the commandments. So you got to deal with that. Okay, so you don't believe in what Christ is saying. You going totally against Christ. You a damn antichrist, man. But going on back to the class, because this is Christ's mouth, man. This came directly out of his mouth. Matthew chapter 19, verse 16 through 17. You read it. Read it. He said, keep the commandments, brother. But next precept we're going to get is Revelation chapter 3, verse 15. Love is is keeping the commandments, man. Yeah, true enough, love fulfills the law, but that don't mean that you continue to sin, man. Because you do, if you love the Most High God, you're gonna be keeping His commandments. So therefore, that's how you fulfill that thing, man. Because we understand that the law wasn't made for a righteous man, meaning that righteous man is keeping the laws. But even like, look at this last precept. We're gonna get back to this class, Shalaki, yeah. Sometimes you can't. I mean, you're entertaining, but after a while, you can't just cast your pearls to swine. When Christ is even saying this, and you still saying we ain't got to keep the law. This the book of John, chapter what's that? It's like 14 and verse 15. John 14 and 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. If you love the Lord, you're gonna keep His commandments. But Revelation chapter 3 and verse 15, y'all. This book of Revelation chapter 3 and verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wart cold or hot. Because even like how this brother's, saying, he's saying you ain't got to keep the law. We under grace. But then he's talking about love fulfills the law, and that's 613 laws, statutes, and commandments. So if you know that, why you ain't keeping them, man? You have to be putting forth that work. But you can't be lukewarm in this thing. You can't just be saying that, oh, we ain't got to do that. But it is 613 commandments and all that, man. That's you being lukewarm. Are you gonna do it or you not? But reading on. So then, because thou art lukewarm, playing both sides, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. So you gonna get that same, that same reward as if somebody that's not keeping the laws at all, because you have stepping, man. But going on to the next precept, we're gonna get Matthew chapter 6 and verse 2. I think that was my precept. Lucky, y'all. 1 second. Uh, 6 and 24, y'all. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, and verse 24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. So even like how the Lord, or Christ let you know, hey, you either gonna love the one and hate the other, or hate the one and love the other, or you gonna, hold on to one or despise another. So are you gonna serve, God, that gold, oil, and drugs, or you gonna serve the Most High, the true and living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Because we always, speak on these things because, yeah, even like how on the dollar bill it says, "In God we trust." Yeah, that God is talking about is gold, oil, and drugs, man. It's not talking about the Most High God. Most High God is not in this place. They don't, even reverence, man. They try to be like the Most High God. It says, nothing make you righteous except the blood of Yahweh, not your works. You got to give me a precept on that, brother. You have to give me a precept. Because even with Christ himself, what made Christ perfect? What made him righteous? Shalom, Sister Genesis, how you doing, sis? But what made Christ perfect or righteous? He did the will of his Father. The will of his Father was keeping the commandments. Because we understand, like on some precepts, it do speak on that. Like ultimately, yeah, it's because it's the Lord giving us that grace in that aspect. But the Lord did still say that we had to keep the commandments. So yeah, we understand that was the gift of the Most High God, Him giving that thing to us, man. Because he could have had grace and mercy and love on any other nation, but He chose us out of all of them. So in that aspect, yeah, we understand that. But He still gave us commandments, and out of all nations, like I said, He only gave us that. So why us as a nation of people can't keep them? But going on to the next precept, we're gonna get uh we're gonna get Esther chapter 3 and verse 1. Because I know how we were speaking on the Feast of Purim, which is coming up, and this is an example of a mighty sister Esther, and a mighty brother Mordecai, man, being fully committed to the Lord, man. For Christ is the end of the sacrificial law and the law of sin and death, not the whole law. Going into the other sectors of law, should I say? Only the sacrificial and the law of sin and death. Because y'all try to contradict Christ, man, or make it seem like Christ is contradicting himself. Because if he just told the brother that you have to keep the commandments in order to make it to the kingdom, then why y'all try to use precepts to combat another precept, man? That is not how the Bible works. Everything in the Bible is gonna line up. Nothing contradicts one another. It's all gonna line up. So whenever people be doing that, that shows you what type of spirit you have. You have a division type of spirit, man. Having a stumbling block type of spirit. Throwing stumbling blocks in front of your brothers and sisters, man. You can't combat scriptures with scriptures, man. They all gonna line up and say the same exact thing, from the Old Testament to the Apocrypha to the New Testament, man. No, you ain't. Don't pray for me, brother. Don't pray, cause hey, you might hurt me. Do more so hurt me than help me, man. Cause even with the God you praying to, you ain't praying to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. But Yahweh shall die for the sins of the world. What world is that talking about? Because now we're on another subject. That wasn't the whole world he was talking about. That was the world of Israel, according to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 17. But precept we're gonna get y'all is Esther chapter 3, verse 1. We're gonna do some reading, y'all. I ain't gonna cover the whole exact thing because I know Capt Benaniyah, he probably gonna go into this class tomorrow. But I'm gonna give like a little quick spiel on these things, man. So this is the book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 1. It says, after these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, or Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. So, basically, to give a summary on these things, Haman, he was an Agagite, You know, when you run the lineage back, he was, he comes from Esau, man. So he was an Edomite overall. But but he was basically, brought in, into a higher standard because, King Ahasuerus had promoted him. But reading on, and all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. So, the king basically had everybody, bow down to him, man, and was like, hey, this is my new main man, and hey, y'all all got to give reverence to him. So, everybody bowed and reverenced him. But reading on concerning him, but Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. So Mordecai, him being the Israelite, he was like, nah, I'm not finna bow down to this man. I already know this man is my enemy. I'm not finna do it. But reading on, then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgresses thou the king's commandment? So they looking at what I say Mordecai and like, man, they grow crazy, man. He over here transgressing the king's commandment. He said bow down. He ain't even doing it. So reading on. Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them. So they was trying to bribe him. They were trying to get him to basically concede and go ahead and bow down to him. Mordecai wasn't going for that, man, because his ways was fully committed unto the Lord, man. But reading on, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. So they were trying to see. They went ahead and told Haman that hey, he not finna do it, man. And hey, it's even it added fuel to the fire because he was a Jew, man. He was an Israelite, and it was not ordained by the Most High God for him to even do so, man. But reading on, and when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. So Haman, he was pissed off about this thing, man. I'm talking about, hey, stomping his feet, doing all these different type of things, man. Cause you like, why you ain't bowed down to me, man? But reading on, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone. So Haman thinking of all type of manner of wickedness, man. And he talking about he even to the point of trying to get him by himself and scorn him alone, man. And that's what these evil bastards do in anyways, man. Whether they be in their beds, plotting to see how they can, keep a, Israelite brother or sister down for the next day, or what's the next thing on the agenda to slave drive or whatever the case may be, man. That's what type of people these is. They always trying to throw some type of, stumbling block, shalaking, in our way to keep us, further and further from our God, man. But reading on, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, couldn't even say it this time, even the people of Mordecai. So it went to the point where, hey, he wasn't only finna just, get back at Mordecai. He was also finna just kill all the Jews, man, and destroy them anyway, anyhow. But reading on, in the first month, that is the month Nisan or Abib, because that goes into the first month. Well, Shalaki, the month the first month that is the month Nisan Abib, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, going into lots. But reading on, that is the lot before Haman from day to day, and from month to month to the 12th month. That is the month of Adar. So the 12th month will be, Adar. And then even with the first month it could either be called Abib or Nisan. But read it on. Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all the people. So, he's talking about us because even that's a precept within a precept going to, there is a certain people scattered. Who is the nation of people the Lord scattered? The children of Israel, man. It says scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws, Simon, you peep that, their laws are diverse from all people. So let you know that, hey, the laws that the Most High God gave us, they disperse from everybody else's laws, man. Our laws are holy. Our laws are righteous. But our laws are perfect. They're good. They're just. They're all these different type of things. But reading on, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasuries. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemies. Because, yeah, we do have enemies, in this world, man. A lot of people, they try to say, oh, we ain't got enemies, you're supposed to love you. But what enemies is that talking about, man? In this context, that's talking about the heathen enemies, man. The ones that ain't got our best interests. But you see, he even tried to, get the king in on it, talking about, hey, I'll be willing to pay, hey, if it be in your will, and the king's will, hey, I'll pay and do anything, man, to get all these Jews destroyed. But read it on. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. So the king, he went on ahead and gave him gave Haman the silver and that he whatever he needed to be able to destroy him, man, because he pleaded with him. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people, of every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. And the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, and one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Dar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. So hey, that's why we say never trust Dine-In, because not only Haman, had these things going on, but he had his little army, his lieutenants, his governments. Yeah, he even had to try to have the king, in this thing, man. Until of course the Lord found, had that favor with Esther, because we're gonna touch that. Reading on, the post went out, being hasted by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. Next precept is, matter of fact, we're gonna keep reading. Chapter 4. It says, when Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and a bitter cry. So when Mordecai heard these things, hey, because like I said in the last part of chapter 3, verse 15, the city of Shushan, it was perplexed, man, because that's where we was at. It says, and Mordecai perceived all that was done. Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry. So Mordecai did what was best, man, committing himself fully to the Lord, and he proclaimed the fast, man. It says, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Because this is how we fasted, man. Not only did we not, eat or drink anything, for 24 hours, we also sprinkled ashes on us, and we had sackcloth on, man. And sackcloth it is not a comfortable material, man. It had you itchy and pokey and all that, man. But it was all the spiritual aspect, not more so, the physical, but the spiritual that aspect that kind of came out of it, man. Because it was, helping your spirit, grow in that aspect. But read it on. In every province, well, verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him. But he received it not, because Mordecai he was in great distress. So all the raiment and stuff that Esther was trying to give, he didn't want it, man. He was making it, presenting his body a living sacrifice unto the Lord. But reading on, then called Esther for her chop, I think they said, or her top, and one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it is and why it is, or why it was. So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews, to destroy them. Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and make request before him for her people. And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. So Mordecai, he basically had a plan in mind. So basically, since Esther was already a queen, she was like in higher regards in that aspect. He was trying to, basically like an inside job, so to speak. And he wanted her to go to the king, basically use a little gal to get on the king's good side, per se, and go ahead and, allow the Jews to be, prosperous in this thing, man. Because, hey, we're gonna read on, man, because this is it's a heavy, heavy part of our history, and hey, it's a good, story to read upon, man. But reading on. Again, Esther spake unto Hatak, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. So Esther was letting him know that, hey, it's a process within me, even doing that, because he ain't came to me in 30 days. So when it came down to it, I can't just go in there and do that unless I have I'm basically in his good graces. But reading on, then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also am Shalaki. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Esther, she basically got herself in because once Mordecai had told her that, hey, don't think that, you know, if you don't make haste on this thing right now, hey, they gonna destroy, your people, man. Hey, who's to say they won't destroy you either? So it went to the point where Esther was like, she basically got in the spirit with this thing, man. She was like, I'm gonna fast. We gonna fast 3 days. All of us as a nation of people. He said, so will I go unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish. So she went on ahead and went against the grain on that thing. She was like, hey, if I perish, I perish. She was also fully committing herself unto the Lord as well, man. It says, so Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. And jumping over to chapter 7. This book of Esther, chapter 7 and verse 1. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther, the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed even to the half of the kingdom. So Esther, she was getting in good graces with the king, because hey, they was already at the banquet. She got him when he was drinking, man, because when you go back, it shows you how the banquet was set up and all these different type of things, man. And reading on. So he was saying, hey, what you want to be granted? What is your request? And to perform, he talking about, I even give you half the kingdom. But reading on. Then Esther, the queen, answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me in my petition, in my people, in my request. So, Esther, she went ahead and kept her word on that thing. If I perish, I perish. But she was like, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people, and my request. So reading on, for we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bond men and bond women, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king of Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther, the queen, who is he, and where is he, that dares presume in his heart to do so? So, King, he already full of drink as is. You're like, hey, who's he? And where is he that dares presume in his heart to do this, to try to destroy y'all? Reading on. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. So even with that, man, that's how when you fully committed to the Lord can easily, heap coals of fire upon your enemy's head, man. He easily turn that thing upon his head because there's more upon it. Reading on. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon a bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. So they went ahead and jacked him up, man. And you already know how that go. They went ahead and put a bag over his face because, hey, that's it, man. You finna be put to death. We're reading on. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains said before the king, Behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standing in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon, because in the pre-sales previously to that, I told you I was gonna do a quick little rundown on that. Haman wicked ass made a 50 cubic gallows, basically, a stand where you can hang somebody from. And in the today's measurements, that's about like 75 feet, give or take. But reading on, so that hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. So hey, once Haman was put to death for that that situation, the king's wrath was pacified. I mean, hey, it was like it never happened, man. Because remember, his commandment was, he was in on that thing at first. For the simple fact that Haman was a right hand man, but Haman overstepped his boundaries and didn't even know that Esther was, she had her people, man. Once you started messing with her people, she had to get involved in that thing, man. But going on to the next precept, I'm gonna go to chapter 9, get the last little spiel on that. This is the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 30. Let me see. We start at verse 30. Book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 30. And he sent the letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus. Can't even say it. With words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim or Pur or lots. Yeah, you got instant karma, shit. Instant. To confirm these days of Purim and their time appointed according to as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and as they had decreed for themselves, Shalaki, and for their seed, the matters of the fastings and their cry. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. So, brothers and sisters, that's why we keep the feast of Purim. And even in the book of Maccabees, talking about the of Nicanor, man. Just like how they have high holy days and stuff for our destruction. Well, I say high holy day. Well, they holidays, what we call them. But just like how they had these different type of things for our destruction, the Lord gave us high holy days. Talking about their destruction, man. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised the Lord give us another high holy day, for the destruction of this world to come, man. We call it exterminate Edomite day or something, whatever the Lord, has in store for us, man. I'm with it. But the last precept I'm gonna get is Psalm chapter 91 and verse 19. Where is or we kind of take it thy little ones and dash them against the stone day. But hey, it'll be a lovely high holy day, man. Where you spend all day just taking our little ones and dashing them against the stones, man. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 91 and verse 19. What is that, 91? Shalaka, y'all. I think I wrote that down wrong. There ain't no 19. I think I meant 16. Shalaka. Maybe 1 second. No, 91 and 1. Shalaka, y'all. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 91 and verse 1. Shalom, Knock. How you doing, man? But this is the book of Psalms, chapter 91 and verse 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler. Because we understand the snare of the fowler that goes to the spiritual aspect, because who was a fowler? We know that's going into, this place, America, man. You know, the daughter of Babylon. They being the fowler, and they got, you know, snares out for us, man. It says, and from the noisome pestilence, going to them nukes. But read it on. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Because, like you said, even with us, we got to commit ourselves fully to the Lord. If we do this, we get his protection, man. That sounds like an even trade to me. All we got to do is keep his commandments, and he'll be our refuge, man. He'll shield us from every little thing that you think that's, hey, when all hell is breaking loose and you think you just at your last end, hey, the Lord is protecting you through all that thing, man. But reading on, thou shalt not be afraid, because we understand the Lord did not give us a spirit of fear, man. Come on, all praises, God. Glad you're doing all right, man. But thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Because those arrows, you know, is also going into those nukes, man. You know, all that the muds that be flying around. Because even going back to verse 3 when it says noisome pestilence, you know how Capt Benaniyah always expressed that boom, man. That's what that noisome, because it's gonna be loud, man. But reading on, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasted at noonday. Because you already know what these nukes make, man. They make nuclear waste. But reading on, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. So hey, committed to the Lord, you're gonna be alright, man. Still praying for. I haven't heard from him in a hot minute. Knock, man. He still got the same number, or you don't know? But reading on, verse 7 again. 1,000 shall fall at thy right hand, at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Committed to the Lord, you're gonna be seeing all these things going on. 1,000 going in an instance, 10,000 going in an instance. But then you were looking around, checking yourself. You're like, damn, I'm still here. Yeah, because that was the Lord's, protection on you, man. Not understood. But read it on. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because we gonna be seeing these things, man. Because while these things is going on, we're gonna be being in those chairs, man, and looking at all the things that's going on. You know, I'm talking about all hell breaking loose. And we're gonna see the reward that the Lord has spoken on here. You know, the wicked is gonna be, I'm talking about, tossed to and fro in earth, literally. Man, like talking about blown, because you already know they're gonna be evaporated and all that from these nukes, man. So I remember it was a video we was watching a while back about this when I was in school, and we was watching how the impact of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on how when they dropped this stuff, it was a Moabite, was it Ammonites? It was the Ammonite dude. He was sitting on his porch, and that mud had dropped, and it disintegrated him, man. His shadow was still there, but I'm talking about he was disintegrated, man, annihilated. So we can imagine just how much power that you probably won't even see the shadow this time around, man. I'm talking about, hey, they got some stuff out here. But nevertheless, hey, we're going to be seeing these things, man. But reading on. Shalom, Mama Rye, how you doing? But reading on. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. So, hey, make him our habitation. We're going to be all right, man. But like you said, fully commit yourself to the Lord, man. And let's continue to, keep on doing these things, man. Because we understand the Lord is speeding up the time, man. Talking to Capt Benaniyah, he was tired, man. But, it's going so fast. Like, damn, is it my week to do class? Or, because that's how me and Officer Don be. Like, damn, is it my week or is his week? But, hey, the Lord, he doing it, for our, hey, speaking of the angels, what's going on, Officer Don? That's what I say, man. It be like that, man. Like, damn, is it my day? Nah, I be like, hold on. Nah, you didn't do class last week. It's on you, man. Or how we do it, man. But nevertheless, hey, we enjoy doing this thing, man. Feeding our sheep. But hey, with that, I say shalom. Hope the class was edifying. Feeding our spirits to keep on, just pushing toward the mark, man. Pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth. And whatever way the Lord, whatever talent the Lord gave you, and if He gave you, an increase in talents, man, do not use them, use them for vanity, man. God, not, man. I know that sometimes the notifications don't be, coming up either, or we be so damn busy. But yeah, man, like I said, I hope the class was edifying. Just continue to use these talents. Say, I'm not a word. But without further ado, we always get out of bring out a law. I was done. Give me a law, man. What you got in mind? I always bring out a law at the end of every class. The Lord did call us lawgivers, so let's go ahead and keep these things, man. Bring them to the forefront, but most importantly, doing them things, man. You're in 21. Hey, I stick with it. Hey, I like it. Tonight's law will be Deuteronomy 2081, the old classic, man. Yeah, we probably get both of them. But Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So, even like how I brought out, if you fully committed to the Lord, he will bless us, man. But reading on, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. So hey, we already know on the flip side how these overtaking us, and, causing hell, man. But then just think about it, all these blessings overtaking us. Like, hold on, Lord. But hey, nevertheless, we gotta just like how the Lord say, hey, whatever's brought upon thee, take cheerfully in the book of Sirach. We're gonna have to take them blessings cheerfully, man. I mean, hey, gotta see both sides in affliction and in our prosperity, man. But the flip side, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And like we said, hey, man, said pyramid. So we gonna, like I said, Sunday evening. But yeah, Monday evening, Shalaki, y'all. 3-day feast for Purim. Yeah, cause I'm trying to see what days we're gonna meet up on. I think we're meeting on 2 days, at least 2 days. But yeah. So I said the flip side, yeah, I already know. If we don't keep these commandments and we don't fully commit ourselves to the Lord, that's what's gonna happen, man. And it's happening right now. But whoop-de-doo, man. We'll serve out this thing and through the power of the Most High God and His Son Yahweh, we'll make it. We'll be all right. Y'all trying to get me fat again. Come, man. But brothers, sisters, if y'all wanna, the colors is gonna be blue and blue and orange shirts tomorrow. Hope twins see this. Blue and orange. Blue and orange, man. Not blue and gold. But yeah. Anything else I was done? That's it. They could do. Let me see real quick. I'm gonna look at my skill. What you call it? calendar real quick. Jeez. Cause I did say sunset. So yeah, we yeah, it come in sunset Sunday, but we might do it Monday. We'll see. We'll keep y'all updated on that thing, man. But with that, say shalom. See you brothers and sisters tomorrow. The ones I'll see. Shalom.